about this. So if you want to examine the quadrilaterals and determine the sum of the angles, right? Easiest thing to do, just plot 4 points. And you can then highlight all 4 of those points, hit Control L, will connect them. And so now we want to examine the angles, so we do have to go through now and label each of these angles. So if we go select any 3 of them, choose measure angle, and then just continue on to measure all of the angles. So, oops, if I move this up here so it's all together. So there's angle B, here's angle C, here's angle D, and then finally angle A. So if we measure those angles, what we can now do is add them all together. So we can use the calculator on this to calculate them, and you just need to click the angle plus each of the angles, and when you hit OK, you should see that it says 360. Correct? Did everybody get that? Okay, so in a quadrilateral, the sum of the angles is 360. Let's see if this is true for another angle. Now notice, if I don't want to redo all of that by hand, I'm just going to copy it, paste it. So I'll move it over a little bit. Notice it changes all my points. Right? And then if I just move this so it's a different quadrilateral, it's still going to show that the total sum of the angles is the same. Okay? So I can leave it like this, and I've done both my examples pretty quickly. All right, let's take a look at the sum of the exterior angles. So if we do the same thing, okay, so if we create a quadrilateral, now from each of these points, what I want to do in order to create the exterior angle, easiest thing to do is just select all the points and then construct a ray, and it's going to construct a ray off of each one. Okay, so now you have each of your exterior angles. In order to measure those, you do need to select points on that side extended. And then it's just a matter of selecting each of those. So let's find each of these angle measures. Oops. Move them all over. Move them all over here. All right, so I have my angle measures. I can take the total sum of these. Again, go through, use the calculator built in, and just add them up. Again, the built-in calculator allows it to stay dynamic so that as you adjust any of the angles, it'll take that into consideration. Okay, so the same thing, you can get a second one just by copy and paste this whole thing and then move the pieces around. But you can see here, even if I move this around, this total sum of the angles is still going to be 360. Okay, so what's the total sum of the angles, or sum of the interior angles of a quadrilateral? 360. And what's the total sum of the exterior angles of a quadrilateral? 360. Do you guys remember what the sum of the interior angles of a triangle were? 180. And what was the sum of the exterior angles of a triangle? 360 also. Okay. What we're going to find in the next chapter too is no matter what kind of polygon you're dealing with, the sum of the exterior angles always going to be 360. The sum of the interior angles changes with the number of sides, but the sum of the exterior angles always the same. All right, so the last thing is to inscribe a quadrilateral within a circle. Okay, so what that involves is placing the 4 vertices on a circle and then finding the measures of those angles. So once again, if we create our figure, then measure each of the angles as we move along. Okay, so once we take this, we can find our total sum once again by calculating them. Okay, or actually, oops, in this case, we don't need to find the total sum, but we want to find how do opposite angles of these relate to each other. So let's take a look at angle R and T. So let's combine those. Here's angle R. Let's combine it to angle T, and we get 180 degrees. Let's do the same thing with S and Q. If we calculate and combine angle S plus angle Q, we see it's 180. And no matter where we move, these points, what's always going to happen to these opposite angles? They always stay supplementary.